DRS, exactly 2 weeks from today is July 17th. We are going to have 12 teams around the National Football League already sending their rookies to training camp by that date, exactly 2 weeks out. So let's talk about the National Football League. As we said, a small peek into the summer window to get you ready for a new football year. Over this holiday weekend, college football today, a summer school check-in. Pro football today, a National Football League refresher to get you set for the season. And right now, there are co-favorites to win Super Bowl 59, the Chiefs and the 49ers, the two teams that squared off in Super Bowl 58. 6-1 price on both KC and San Fran. The Ravens, the only other team at less than 10-1, plus 950. Baltimore is setting their rooks bright and early, July 13th, as they will open up the season about 2 months from today on Thursday, September 5th, in the AFC title game rematch in Arrowhead against KC.
Yeah, we're getting close here. And here's how we take a look at the FanDuel Sportsbook right now and say to ourselves, okay, why do we have the Chiefs at a 6-1 price and why do we have the 49ers at a 6-1 price? Well, they just played last year, and most of those players are coming back and being healthy. But let's remove the 49ers right now, Ben, from the equation. I just want to separate it and take a look about the Kansas City Chiefs and how we talked about them last year. Wasn't last year the year that you were supposed to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs? And we said to ourselves, oh, my goodness, finally, the AFC Championship game is not going to be played in Arrowhead where it's an automatic victory for the Chiefs. They're going to have to earn this, and quite frankly, this isn't their most talented team. So how did we approach getting into the playoffs? Well, you had the Ice Bowl in Kansas City in the divisional round, right? Or excuse me, in the wild card round where they beat the Miami Dolphins. Frigid cold conditions, people getting frostbite all over the place. Good win for the Chiefs, can't take it away. But I said to myself, love this. They're going on the road to Buffalo. They have no shot at this one. Buffalo's going to handle their business. Somehow, the Kansas City Chiefs won that game. But it's okay, Ben. They're going to play on the road against Baltimore. They don't have a shot because you know what Baltimore's going to do? Just line up and pound the rock, and there's nothing the Chiefs can do about it. So the Ravens go, you know what? Let's go Air Coryell 1985, and let's get beat here. So you say, wow, that's amazing. Okay, now we get to the Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs going against the immovable object, the San Francisco 49ers. They beat the 49ers also and being down double digits in that game. So I say, why aren't the Chiefs at the FanDuel Sportsbook today a minus 600 price? Because if you didn't beat them last year with that team and that schedule they had to go through, I don't know who's beating them. If you tell me right now, Ben, at the end of the season, in week number 17, you're still going to be healthy with Patrick Mahomes. They're going to win the Super Bowl. Is Reed there? Check. Is Mahomes there? Check. I don't need to see anything else.
It's hard to argue that. Patrick Mahomes has been the starting quarterback in Kansas City for the last 6 NFL seasons. They have at least reached the AFC Championship game in all of 6 of those years. They have gone over their win total of 11.5 in 5 of the 6. The only under last year, and they finished 11-6. They have won 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls. They have played in 4 of the last 5 big games on Super Bowl Sunday. And there was a time earlier this offseason, before some maneuvering in the market around the Bengals price, really after T. Higgins decided to sign the franchise tag tender, that San Francisco was 50 cents in front of Kansas City as a solo favorite, despite the fact the 49ers have lost 2 Super Bowls to Kansas City in the last half decade. So I'm going to ask you it this way, DRS. Is the price on Kansas City to win Super Bowl 59 at 6-1, or the price for the Chiefs to win the AFC Championship once again at plus 340 bettable? Would you bet that wager right here, right now, and hold on to it all the way until January of 2025?
It's a lot of emotion speaking on my end of it right now, but yeah, I would just take it both because like last year was the year they weren't supposed to do anything. Oh, it's clear. They don't have any wide receivers, and it didn't matter. Like nothing mattered at the end. They were lined up, and again, you see this time and time again. Even go back to the previous year, Ben, with the Philadelphia Eagles were in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. They were the far better team, the Eagles, and they had to lead that game, and they still couldn't win, and Patrick Mahomes was on one leg in that Super Bowl. So when I just take a look at how good these teams are, and also you say, well, why don't you just take them to win the AFC as opposed to to the Super Bowl because you're going to run up against the 49ers. What? You're giving Andy Reid 2 weeks to prepare in the Super Bowl. That's when he's at his best at that point. I'll take both right here. And as I say again, it is a lot of emotion speaking based on what I saw last year. But the fact that they went and ran that gauntlet at the end of the year, they beat the Bills, they beat the Ravens, and the 49ers in succession there with a team that I thought wasn't all that talented. Who knows what they're going to do again this year?
And don't forget, those were road playoff games. That was the narrative around Mahomes. Could he win on the road? He certainly did last year, and his third Lombardi trophy in his NFL career already. The Chiefs, by the way, minus 230 to win the AFC West, a division they have owned as the champs the last 8 years. San Francisco, minus 195 to win the NFC West, and that feels rather fitting as well. There is an argument to be made, Donnie, that when you look at these two conferences, the AFC is so much more competitive than the NFC overall. It's just why the path for the 49ers is more favorable and why the odds are similar to a team that has won 2 consecutive Super Bowls. In the history of the National Football League, we have seen multiple winners of a Super Bowl in back-to-back years. We have never seen a team win 3 consecutive Lombardi trophies.
Yeah, we have. And also, keep an eye on those Ravens. Don't be surprised if they're, again, the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. But we know you don't win Super Bowls in the regular season. You win MVPs in the regular season. You just need the Ravens to step up. It was all on their plate last year. Because if they would have went to the Super Bowl, who would they have played? The 49ers, who they already cracked earlier in that season on December 25th. Here we go.
We'll talk more about the title odds and MVP odds next. Super Bowl 59 odds as we send you into your holiday weekend. Enjoy everything this 4th of July weekend, Thursday into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Soak up the summer, but know that football is getting closer and closer by the day. DRS, we looked at the Super Bowl 59 prices, and there are 3 teams with 3 digits, 10-1 or less. The Chiefs and the Niners, they played each other in Super Bowl 58 out in Viva Las Vegas. The Ravens, who were the NFL's best team in the regular season a year ago at plus 950 with the reigning MVP winner for the second time in his career, Lamar Jackson. Then you see the rest of the top 10. 7 teams mashed up in that group, separated by just $6. From that group, is there a name, a team, a price that you think is worth a wager?
If we're looking from a Philadelphia Eagles perspective, the way they collapsed 14-1, we'll start here because I was a couple things running through my mind, and the 14-1 guys right out here. I'm not all that high on the Philadelphia Eagles this season to win a championship. And as a fan, it's like, oh, that really hurts. Can they win one? Absolutely. But there's a couple things that you do have to take out of the equation when you're trying to deal with teams outside of Kansas City and let's just say San Francisco. You want to be there at the end. I think the Eagles have a chance to do that, but there are a lot of moving parts here. You have a new offense that's getting installed, at least probably 50% new verbiage going from last year to this year with a new offensive coordinator. Same thing with the defense here. And I love the fact that Vic Fangio is coming over from the Miami Dolphins because last year's Matt Patricia, Sean Desai, that certainly wasn't working out at all. So I like that. But again, you're going to have that learning curve, and it's hard to just erase where the Eagles had the best record in football last year and didn't even end up winning their division when it was all said and done, and then got hammered on the road against a average to below average, to me, honestly. Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. And then you take a look at the Cincinnati Bengals at a 14-1 price. Hey, look at that. There's a ton of talent. But for me, there's a lot more question marks again going into the Cincinnati Bengals. Is Jamar Chase going to show up? Is T. Higgins actually happy with that contract? Is, Joe Burrow had a good offseason because he couldn't really work out and throw the football all that much. And then it leads you to the Detroit Lions, who I do think are on the cusp of taking that next step. And then it's the Baltimore Ravens at a plus 950 price. I say to myself, I love the Ravens. I think they have a great regular season. But every time I turn them on in the playoffs, it's like, what are we actually doing? Is this Lamar Jackson? This is the guy I saw in the regular season here. And for an offense that's supposed to be able to pound the football, why are we passing it? Way too many question marks pop up for me. But you are looking at the teams that are going to be on the rise. One team I do want to keep an eye on, to be honest with, 15-1, it's the Buffalo Bills. I talk about this terminology. They were the it kids for a couple of years in the AFC, right? They're ready to take over the Kansas City Chiefs. Now is their year. Now they've sort of fallen off a little bit. And I don't mean by like record-wise or being able to make the playoffs, but just that star power. Like Diggs moves on. You replace him with a rookie wide receiver. But I don't think that's going to change. I do think you're going to have a big season out of the Buffalo Bills. And if I'm looking at a team outside of 10-1, those are the type of teams like the Bills that I would focus on, because I want a team just out of the spotlight where we thought they would do something big the past couple of years, didn't do it. And then you can come out of nowhere by saying, you still have the quarterback, you still have quality wide receivers, you still have the semblance of a good defense here, and you can win that division here. So that's the way I line up with the Buffalo Bills. The 15-1 price makes some sense there. I would love to back my Eagles, would love to take the Cincinnati Bengals, would love to take the Lions. Just a little bit too many question marks here. I'll take a look at the Bills outside of that spotlight.
Almost a contrarian thought there, DRS, for the Bills to move back in the odds after what seemed to be quite an uncertain offseason in Western New York. Josh Allen remains, but who's around him in this Super Bowl window, and is that window closing in Buffalo? The Bills have won the AFC East each of the past 4 years, but they have only played in the AFC Championship game once. That was 4 years ago. 3 of the previous 4 years, they have been bounced from the postseason by Kansas City. 3 of the previous 4 years, they have been bounced by the end of the divisional round. My Super Bowl prediction last year, champions of the AFC, Cincinnati, champions of the NFC, the Eagles. I think I'm going to have a very similar Super Bowl 59 prediction as I did to 58. Now let's go individual. Josh Allen, second best price to win NFL MVP at 8-1. Mahomes is the favorite at a 5-1 number. Did not win it last year. Of course, that was Lamar Jackson at 14-1. C.J. Stroud in year number 2, tied for the third best price at 10-1 with Joe Burrow. Who gets your attention in the individual race for the MVP hardware?
C.J. Stroud's going to get a lot of attention, and rightfully so. I mean, you have 5-1 on Mahomes, 8-1 on Josh Allen, and you have 10-1 here tied with Joe Burrow in that third spot, which is pretty crazy for a rookie quarterback that had a sensational season that we're just automatically placing on that next pedestal. And he just might get there. That's a pretty good football team, and it's going to have a lot of people that want to give him the award as well. Do we want to give Patrick Mahomes the MVP? No, we're tired of seeing stuff like that. We always like the next thing. But again, Mahomes has a great season, CJ doesn't, and Josh Allen doesn't. You get the picture. He would be able to win that award. But if I'm looking at CJ Stroud, I think the sky is the limit. But again, I just told you that the Buffalo Bills can make a run to the Super Bowl, and that would mean that Josh Allen probably was the do-it-all kid once again. I still think they have a fine passing game, but he can use his legs. That 8-1 price does make sense. The one guy that always has great regular seasons, Lamar Jackson, at a 14-1 price. Who says he can't win yet another MVP trophy at this point? But I do think it is wide open. If you can remove the Kansas City Chiefs from winning 13-14 games, everybody else becomes live. But if I say the guy that everybody's rooting for to win it, it probably feels like C.J. Stroud at this point. That should be a fun football team, and he should throw for close to 40 touchdowns this year.
And they have the offense, you would think, to do it. There was times, DRS, that C.J. Stroud was in the MVP race last year in his rookie season as he ran away with the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. A name that intrigues me. Not sure I'm going to bet it, but a name that intrigues me with some optimism is Jordan Love. 14-1 price alongside Lamar Jackson. You saw the Packers there in terms of their Super Bowl odds as well. 10th best on the board at 19-1. If we get the Jordan Love that we saw in 6 of the final 8 weeks of the regular season, in the playoff upset on the road at the start in Dallas, he will be in the MVP race. But I wonder when the contract comes for Jordan Love. There's a couple of QBs, DRS, that maybe in the next few weeks leading up to training camp during this summer break around the NFL, when are they going to see the payday? Jordan Love, Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa, and some wide receivers you mentioned as well, Jamar Chase, and also for the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb. We're just about 2 months away from the NFL season debut. Early look now. Live right here on this Wednesday on the early line on SportsGrid, just the day before Independence Day weekend. It's summer, but football is ever so close. We are just about 2 months away from the start of the NFL season, the day after the 4th of July. That's the 5th, exactly 2 months away from Thursday, September 5th, the NFL season debut in 2024 inside Arrowhead Stadium between the Chiefs and the Ravens. It is a rematch, of course, of the AFC Championship game in the Charm City a year ago. The Chiefs were the underdog in that game. They won outright. for their fourth AFC championship victory in the last 5 NFL seasons. And the questions around Lamar Jackson, not what he can do in the regular season, but his performances in the postseason arose once again. Just a 2-4 playoff record now for Lamar. In the opener in Arrowhead, KC opens on that flat number of 3, a field goal. 46.5 is the over-under. It is the earliest line for week number 1 of this 2024 NFL campaign.
Hey, if the Chiefs don't make a ton of mistakes, probably should they win their opening game this year? Probably so. But I do think it's an even line out there, basically giving the Kansas City Chiefs home field advantage with those 3 points and letting it play out. Total sits at 46.5. And let's just say we're all going to get warm weather and good conditions on opening night. I always love the way the Baltimore Ravens come into the regular season because they're one of the few teams here, Ben, we can agree on that take the preseason seriously, which puts them in a great mindset by the time they wake up, I should say, on that Thursday night, September 5th. I do expect the Ravens to give up. Right now, I'll probably take the plus 3 points at this point if we're angling towards that. I just think it's an even matchup here. I'll take the points opening night, and I do expect a great performance because the Ravens are usually great performers in the regular season.
I mean, DRS, when you look at the numbers under John Harbaugh, who has been the head coach in Baltimore since 2008, that's now 16 seasons, year 17 on the horizon. It's a similar story for Pittsburgh and Baltimore, the two bitter rivals in the AFC North. The Steelers, a 62.2% cover percentage as an underdog in that span since 2008. That was year 2 of the Mike Tomlin era, the debut year of John Harbaugh. 2008, 61.8% cover percentage, 55, 34, and 6 against the spread as an underdog in the last 16 years. Who could fault you taking that flat number of 3 at this moment? Line opened at 2.5 in favor of Kansas City. We have already seen some movement. Now, Donnie, we looked at the Super Bowl 59 odds, and you said something on the Ravens, that if they couldn't get past Kansas City a year ago, how are you going to bet them to do that this time around? They had home field advantage as the number 1 seed in the AFC, the best regular season record in the entirety of the NFL a year ago at 13-4. But you said you would expect the Ravens to probably be in contention for that top spot again. So you expect no hangover in Baltimore then, looking at the Ravens team win total of 10.5.
Yeah, and they should be ramped up, too, because let's just take a look at that 10.5 and also equate it to opening day. The one thing I do love is I think we can all agree, like for me heading into that game last year in the playoffs was, boy, if they just stick to their game plan for Baltimore, they have such an advantage over Kansas City. And they didn't do that, which was so mind-boggling that I hope this offseason goes, you know what, guys, let's just bring our normal game plan into game number 1 and see what happens. And I think they'll win, which is so hard because sometimes dealing with Lamar Jackson on a week-to-week basis in the NFL, when so many things are swirling around, so many different franchises, it's tough to get a hold of. But when you have that one singular focus with that one game on the week, you don't have to worry about the game after it to focus on Lamar Jackson. A lot of teams have done very well against Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. So I just take a look at week number 1. Is there going to be a quarterback that's going to be faster on his feet? And I heard, hey, Lamar Jackson lost a couple pounds here in the offseason. He's going to look like an absolute lightning bug out there in week number 1. I expect a good performance. And again, the 10.5, even though that division is so tough from top to bottom, talking about the AFC North, I still think at the end of the day, they're the best team in that division, which in order to win that division, you're going to need to have 11 wins. That's a really good division. So I like their win total over, and I like them opening night here in the NFL.
They are the favorites, are the flock, just a little bit in front of Cincinnati. The 2 fully healthy years for Joe Burrow in his 4-year NFL career, not his rookie campaign or last year, where he has played at least 16 games. The Bengals have won the AFC North and reached at least the AFC title game. I like them in the AFC North in front of the Ravens, and they also have by far the easiest schedule. Our lead NFL analyst, Warren Sharp, does a great job on strength of schedule metrics for a new NFL year, taking in projected win total in all of the variants that affect betting odds, rest advantage, disadvantage, all of that good stuff. 3 of the 4 teams in the AFC North, Steelers, Ravens, Browns, 3 of the 5 hardest schedules in the NFL. More TEL next.